People come from all walks of life. They all have lives they lead. Any and all are welcome here to come and chat with me.
Good morning, everyone. Well, it's morning here anyway. I don't know what time it is where you are. I'm really pleased to have Chilliwack MLA. Well, actually, Chilliwack Hope, I believe it's MLA. Kelli Paddon, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much. And yeah, Chilliwack Kent MLA. It's very excited to be here.
I'm really, I'm excited too, because I want to know, first of all, let's pretend I know nothing about what an MLA does. So can you explain that, please?
Sure. So an MLA is your local representative to the provincial government here in British Columbia. So the MLA hears from people that they represent in their riding. So for me, it's Chilliwack Kent. And they bring those voices to legislature, to government, and they help people navigate the systems and make sure their voices are heard and recognized.
So what kind of a question could I ask you? Can you give me an example of something?
So we get a lot of different kinds of questions. So our constituency office and my great team there might get questions from people on how to navigate programs that already exist. So some people might be having an issue with, say, ICBC, or maybe they don't know how to access, property tax information, things like that. Or even apply for personal disability benefits, and we'll help direct them into that program. Other people might be having an issue where, they need support that isn't yet available. And so they're advocating government do something to help support them. And then there's also people who, they may want to change our laws. They may have a petition, or they may even just want to talk to the MLA about, what the plans are and whether it's a priority for the government.
Yeah, I just want to know, I want to tell you that before you, whatever MLA there was at that time, I remember talking and then finding out through our MLA that if your income is below a certain amount, that you could apply for a supplement, for instance, right? Because we're not always given that information. Yeah,
there are so many programs and, like you said, sometimes supplements or benefits. And right now, especially, so many grants, and it's hard for me to keep track of. So I know it's difficult for people to keep track of as well. And we don't always hear about it because maybe when it was released, it wasn't something that you needed. Maybe the information didn't trickle down to you or through to you. And so a lot of people reach out to the office and ask, is there help for this? Is there a program for this? And it's completely appropriate. And my team is always happy to help.
That's really good. Now, do you just do things here, or do you go to Ottawa?
So MLAs are part of the provincial government. So I go to Victoria and I do spend time in the Legislative Assembly there. So right now during the summer, I've been in Chilliwack Kent all summer and very happy to be here because, able to see people, able to go to events and learn more about the inner workings of some places that we all know about. Now, when we're in session, which, we do twice a year, I go to Victoria. And so this next session starts in October. I'll be in Victoria in October and November, and we sit in the House and we debate and vote on legislation. So
now, again, pretending I know nothing, is MLA an elected position?
Absolutely. So the election was last October. And so it's almost been a year in this position now. And yes, it's an elected position for up to 4 years.
Oh, okay. So are you happy to run again?
Well, it's early yet, but yes.
No, go ahead, sorry.
There's a lot of work to do, and trying to get it all done in 4 years would be massive. So yes, I am hoping to run again in the next election.
So what made you decide to run in the first place?
I've spent most of my career in public service or community service at one level or another. Specifically, a lot of my time has been spent working within the community living field, supporting families and adults and children with intellectual disabilities. I also spent some time supporting victims of crime. And one of the things that I learned is exactly like what you just actually brought up, is not everybody's aware of the programs that may be available to them.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest reason is not everybody's aware of the voice and the power that they carry, and that they can exercise through their representative. So being a mother of 2 teenagers, you know, it's important as a parent to set a good example, and you know, you have to be part of the change. And so when I was approached to run, I spoke with my children about it and what they thought. And for them, it was really important, you know, that I continue to be part of the change that I think should happen.
Oh, I like that. That's really nice, because I think, as you said, you know, setting an example is one of the most important things a parent could do, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So now you said prior to that you were in with involved with crimes of victims of crime. Get my words a little mixed up sometimes, right? How long were you involved in that type of field?
So I was a volunteer for the art services here in Chilliwack for a few years, and that came from my background. My original education, my bachelor's, is in psychology with a minor in law, really looking at crime and recidivism. And when I came back to Chilliwack after school, I felt it was really important to give back, and I chose to volunteer for victim services. So after I did that for a while, the people who work and volunteer with victim services are incredible, and it takes a lot. It takes a very special kind of person to be able to be there on somebody's worst day, and support them through that. So I continued volunteering for other organizations afterwards, but I was only there for a few years.
Oh, okay. So what was your actual job then, your income?
So I was working in the community living field while I was volunteering with victim services. I was at the beginning of my career in community living, and I was working in a staffed residential home for adults with intellectual disabilities. So I had the privilege of working in people's homes and helping to support them, accessing community and taking care of themselves. So that career ended up being, you know, my passion. And so I moved through the community living field. I changed jobs a few times. I worked with children and youth, developed some employment programs for people with intellectual disabilities, which is, again, a very big passion, employment, access to employment. And eventually, you know, did some teaching at UFB for the TASK program there, and then moved on to the funder, who was Community Living BC, and eventually took over the provincial manager of policy and government relations role there for the province.
Wow, very good. I think that obviously sounds like it would help you in your job as MLA, right?
Yes. So this job is part, you know, community service direct. So like frontline customer service. That's only one of the parts of this job, but it's one that I really do love. I get to speak directly with people, hear directly from people, and our team gets to help make a real difference for individual people and families. So that definitely fills my bucket. It's very similar to the kind of work I was doing before.
What I like, and I've only known you a short time, and I've actually only seen you in person once, I believe.
Yeah, that's right.
But what I felt right away is that you were very approachable, which I think is so important in the type of position you hold, right?
Yeah, I think it's critical that people feel like they can access their MLA. So I'm not going to lie, sometimes my schedule is really prohibitive. Sometimes it's hard for me to respond right away to people, which is why I'm so grateful to have a team surrounding me that can respond to people very quickly. But your representative is your voice in Victoria. Your MLA is your voice in Victoria. So being able to access and, you know, understand that I care, and that agreeing is not a requirement for me representing the voices. It's my job to carry the voices. And I feel like having someone open and authentic is really important for people to understand their power. And that's a really big focus of mine, is making sure that people understand how much power they have.
Yeah. I like hearing what you have to say, because I do realize that just because a person is in your position, whatever, they're not always listening. So I like the fact that you know, I believe you when you say, you know, you're listening and you don't always have the time to listen directly, right? But I know that it's very important. And I, for one, appreciate anybody doing your type of job. I really do. Okay, so let's move ahead to the future. Let's just say that the 4 years, you've done 4 years, say, would you stay in that position or would you go on to something else? What do you think?
So like I mentioned before, there's a lot of work that needs to be done. And I really would like to be a part of that work. It's hard, but it's incredibly worth it to be helping people move forward. So it would be up to the people, to the voters. It would be up to people who go out and vote. And I always say I can't encourage people enough, whether it's for me or somebody else, please vote.
Yes.
You know, have your voice heard, but it'll be up to the voters who their MLA is once this term is over. And yeah, I'm happy to continue that work. I'm not thinking so far ahead as to, you know, after voters have decided, you know, if it's not me, which I hope it is, but if it's not, I'm not thinking there. The work that I'm doing now is all consuming, as it should be.
Yeah.
And so I'm really focused, you know, there's just over 3 years left in this term, in this mandate. And I know there's going to be so much good work, even though hard work, complicated work, but I'm just really looking forward to it.
Very good. Very good. So if somebody wanted to reach you or reach the office, would they go about it?
So they can do it a few different ways. The maybe easiest way for a lot of people is email. So my email address is kelly.paddon.mla@leg.bc.ca, and Kelly spelled with an I. And so you can also phone our office. We have an Agassiz number as well as a Chilliwack number. And you can always get all of that information on Facebook,
Okay.
Or at kellypaddon.ca.
Okay, great. Okay, thank you. I really appreciate you doing this with me. It's great.
My pleasure. I always enjoy talking about the good work we get to do together.
Yeah, I think it's wonderful. And the more people hear about it, and the better it is for all of us concerned, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right, just hold on while I say goodbye to the audience. Thank you for watching, everybody. And I hope you learned a little bit more about what our MLA does and what Kelly herself does for the community or for all of you. And if you need to get a hold of her, don't forget you can do that. She's very approachable. All right, so thanks for watching. Hope to see you next time. Until then, everyone, peace out. Now I can find the stop recording.
A sense of community, Chilliwack's a place to be. A sense of community when you're free. Rolling through the mountains, rolling through the valley, rolling through paradise with me. It's multicultural, you're sure to see it all. Chilliwack's a place to be, you'll see. Come party in the park, go dancing after dark. Chilliwack's a place to be, you'll see.